Hey guys, CookieCigarGuy here. I had a request to show you a couple more things with weak auras. Right now what we're going to do is some progress textures. It's a really good way to graphically track the cooldown on a buff that you have. There's a few nice things you can do with it. I think today we'll probably try something like Bloodlust. We need to set back up the Shaman, and that's some real simple stuff. As always, you'll want to start out by typing /WA to get your weak auras box up. And the first option will be the progress texture. That's what we're going to do today. And this is a really nice visual way to see what's going on. Once you hit that, you'll get an automatic pop-up of this graphic here. It's the fading sun, and then you can go ahead and size it as you please. There's a lot of options you can do here. If you go over to display and hit choose, you have a ton of icons to choose from. This is almost every heads-up display from every class. You've got everything from Lightning Bolt to Blood Boil and Blood Surge, all the Arcane Missile procs, everything there is available for use, and it's a really neat way to track your cooldowns. I think for this one we'll use our Tooth and Claw, but before I do that I'm going to show you some of these other ones. There's power words, so if you want to see a word, power auras, it's got some real nice full screen type stuff you can see, and you can expand that out as you please, set that around your character. Some really neat things you can do with that. So maybe we will use this one just for fun. Go ahead and set that up, and anytime we have Bloodlust, we're going to want this to show up. So let's go ahead and name this Bloodlust, and then it has got a lot of options here too. You can change the foreground color. I'm going to go ahead and make it a red, so kind of shaman-y, a little bit of blood rage. And the background color, I think I'll just kind of make that an off. Maybe let's go with Legion green here. Okay, and you can change those up how you please. It's a little bit faded, but it is still a little bit more green, and you can play with that as you like. You can also desaturate the front and back, and some of the icons do work with these desaturations, not all of them do. You can also make it glow, and that kind of makes a real nice fiery effect, and let's go with that for now. That's really neat. And then we're going to go ahead and set this up. As always, you can adjust the width and height. You can crop how much of this you're seeing. A lot of things you can do with this here, and you can always get a real good precise setting to make sure you know right where it's at, and that makes it really fun. You can get some real clean stuff that way. We're going to go ahead and set up the trigger. The trigger, as you guys know, I'm sure, is the mechanics behind what's going on. For this instance, we are tracking an aura. This is a buff that Heroism Bloodlust falls into, and that is definitely an aura. Once you've picked aura, you just type in the ID. In this case, it's Bloodlust. And then there's also for Alliance Heroism. And then we have some class specific like Time Warp, and also Ancient Hysteria for Hunters. And then lastly, you've got Leatherworking Drums of Fury. And it pulls all those up, so anytime any of these spells are active on the player, that is tracking yourself, the player, and then it is a buff, not a debuff, that Heroism or Bloodlust would be. We're not too concerned about the remaining time. We don't want it to show up when it's at 40 seconds. We just want it to show up. And then you don't want to track just your own, because if you're tracking just your own, if you pop Bloodlust, you won't know when the mage does it. So leave this off. We want to know when everybody is pop Bloodlust, or if any version of it is on yourself. And so leave that unchecked there. Once you've done that, we'll go to load. You can set it up for in combat. As always, anytime you're in combat and you have Bloodlust, this will now load. If you have nothing selected here, nothing will ever load. So once you've hit in combat, it'll load across all your characters. Anytime you're in combat and you have Bloodlust or a version of that on, if you set it up that way in the trigger. And then you have other options if you say you want the red Fury Light on your Shaman, but you want your Time Warp on your Mage. You could change the player class to Shaman for this one, and you could just duplicate it, come into the other, change it to Mage. Then you could change it to display something more arcane looking, maybe something along these lines, and maybe change the colors to more of a pink. So now you got a good mage cooldown looking thing for Bloodlust, but it'll only load on your mage because you set it to only load to that player class. We're not going to do that. We're going to delete that out and we'll go back to our original here. So it's on our shaman. I'm going to let it load on anything just because I like a little bit of systemic stuff going on across my characters, knowing what's going on. That takes care of it. That is the Bloodlust weak aura in a nutshell. It takes care of everything, so you don't ever have to worry about it. When I go into combat here, you'll see, start out. It's not showing up, that's good. And then we go into combat and press Bloodlust. Bloodlust goes off, and you see your nice, big, pretty, fiery aura here. And as it cools down, this will fade. You can see it's starting to fade through the tip. And then once it starts to get about 15 seconds, it'll be somewhere in here. And I'll let you guys go ahead and take a look at that. Or if you click it off, it'll disappear, just like that. So if it's up, it's on you, you're good to go. You can also do things like set up a way to track if you have the sated buff or not. You know, if you're suffering from anything where you can't benefit from heroism, you can have an icon to track that as well. Everything is trackable with weak auras. It's really nice. But you can always edit things as you please before, after combat. And if you want to say this is fading into some of my other icons, I could come in here and change the display a little bit. Maybe do something a little bit more friendly. See, we've got an arc out now. And it's a little small though. Let's make it a hair bigger. Alright, so that's good. And you can see that cooldown there. And then when you're in combat and your heroism's off, it makes a nice, real UI setting. So that pretty well covers it for the progress texture. We'll tag on some of the other stuff in other videos. And if you guys have any comments, any feedback, please leave it below. Don't forget to like our video, and we'll be back soon. Thanks so much, guys.